In every book, there is a scumbag who has done all sorts of bad things, is selfish, has poor character, and causes others to suffer greatly for her own good life. One day, the big shots became them. This article, also known as The Daily Life of a Big Boss's Pet Husband, is about how Lord Xihe dotes on his own husband. Hehe. Tentative World. 1. My boyfriend moved bricks for me to study. 2. Daughter of the nanny. 3. Miss Biao has ulterior motives. 4. Do you want to know more about the real Sea King? 5. After snatching the fiancée of the group's beloved sister. 6. The disliked little village girl in Metamorphosis. 7. I love beans and spoil them myself. 8. Murder testimony. 9. Please bring a fox fairy. The above rankings are not in any particular order, and there may be some confusion later on. If you like them, remember to bookmark them. Hehehe. Smiley face. Keywords of the novel. Fast-wearing boss takes a scumbag script without a pop-up window. Fast-wearing boss takes a scumbag script for downloading the complete TXT collection. Fast-wearing boss takes the latest chapter of a scumbag script to read. Chapter 1. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study. 1. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study. 1. When Xihe woke up, the surroundings were quiet, with the glass separating the wind and snow outside. The clock on the table was ticking, and she poked her head out of bed. Hiss, it's so cold, she said. The next moment, the whole person shrank back into the blanket. What do you sleep on in the bright sky? Get up. Hi. The dog immediately climbed onto the blanket and happily tore it apart, saying, Get up, get up. Get lost, local dog. Throwing the dog away, Xihe buried his head in the blanket. What's the point? This weather is most suitable for sleeping, isn't it? Go away, ground beetle. The dog replied. Then he got up and continued to tug at the blanket. Get up, get up. Your little love is waiting for you to send warmth. Little cabbage, yellow in the ground, no one hurts, no one loves. Xihe stood up with a black face and said, Memory. Oh, okay. The dog's spirit perked up. Suddenly, a large memory was forced into his mind, and Xihe covered his head and glared fiercely at him. Shit, is this stupid dog seeking revenge? She just scolded it for being a local dog. What are you looking at? Ground beetle. The dog immediately stared back. A pillow smashed over. Ah, kill the dog. Kill the dog. With a cracking sound, after a burst of cocks and dogs jumping, the dog lay on the ground with a bulging head to eat snacks, and Xihe went to the bathroom to wash up. She brushed her teeth while flipping through the owner's memories to find the little affection in the dog's mouth. Mo. Suddenly, the beautiful eyes in the mirror widened. Oh, so miserable. This is a modern society where the original owner was a talented student from the Department of Foreign Languages at Kyoto University. She had fair and beautiful skin, slender waist and long legs, and was kind to people and good at learning. She was regarded as a good student and goddess in the eyes of many teachers and students. Of course, if it were a truly pure and kind girl, it wouldn't be Xihe's turn. The original owner, this scumbag, used his boyfriend's hard-earned money from moving bricks to get into college. After seeing the colorful world outside, he no longer intended to accept his previous vows. She is so beautiful, so excellent, and should have married a wealthy second-generation and social elite. How could she waste her youth on someone like Mo who doesn't even have a high school diploma? I called directly and said goodbye. Mo. I begged to see her for the last time, but was coldly rejected by the original owner. Poor Mo threw away his bright future for the sake of his original owner, but he couldn't even see the other person's last face. He suddenly fell off the shelf in a daze and became a vegetative. Xihe let out a hiss and continued to watch. Su Yang, who was in his sophomore year of high school over there, received news that he had to put down his studies and go to the capital to take care of his brother. In law. Mo, who had been earning money to support his sister and himself in his heart, was his brother. Law. He was angry at his sister's unfaithfulness and wanted to argue with her, but also hoped to persuade her to change her mind, be with her brother. Law well, and not be an ungrateful person. But since entering college, Su Lin has not been in much contact with him, and now she has directly changed her number, so she can't even find her sister. When he arrived at the hospital and saw his brother. Law lying silently on the ground, Su Yang suddenly collapsed. Especially from the workers who came to visit the construction site, he learned that his brother. Law's fall was not an accident. The machine racks on the construction site have reached the time for replacement, but the developer's advance payment is very low, and the foreman did not replace them in order to save money. Lin Mo had an accident, and they only treated it with the lowest possible work-related injury, compensating tens of thousands of yuan. Su Yang was resentful of finding the construction site and wanted them to give him the justice he deserved, as his brother. Law still needed money for treatment. But his noisy behavior had a very negative impact on the construction site, and after returning, he was pulled closer to the alley and broke his leg. Su Yang knew it was them who did it, but what could he do as a high school student? Qianlong couldn't beat the local snake. He couldn't even find a way to appeal or evidence, so he had to go back to the hospital to take care of his brother. Law. He couldn't bear to use the money and used it all to treat his brother. Law's illness, but in the end, his leg became useless. He also tried to go to his sister's school to find her, but by that time Su Lin had already dropped out and decided to become Li Tai's canary. Where could Su Yang find her? He broke his leg and couldn't find a good job, so he had to take Lin Mo go home and make a living by collecting garbage. One day, Lin Mo woke up and realized that he had become a burden, secretly swallowing pesticides. Su Yang picked up the garbage and found that his brother. Law, who relied on each other, had disappeared like this. In despair, he also swallowed the medicine. Xihe. Oh my God, it's truly tragic. Open a pit. Don't miss out on the cute ones you like. Watch the daily life of Xihe, Big Boss's pet husband. Hehe, the author, has created a small group and welcomes the cute ones to join. 1,064,092,908 quetzales in coding is not easy. I hope everyone can be lenient when grading. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study too. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 2. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study too. Buzzing, the dog leaned over and said, "Hey, your mistress is asking you to eat hot pot. Are you going?" Li Tai. I won't go. In front of the beautiful and fair-skinned little sister in the mirror, Hehe grinned and took out a thick cotton jacket from the wardrobe to put on her body, then went to look for shoes. Li Tai, the mistress in the dog's mouth, is a famous second-generation wealthy businessman in the business school, and also one of the triggers for the original owner's decision to completely separate from Lin Mo. I heard that my family runs a large chain supermarket. Not only are the wealthy and handsome, but they have been following their original owner for a while. If she doesn't come, the two will officially date tonight, achieving a two-way transaction of wealth and color. Also, with such a wealthy second-generation boyfriend, who would still care about Lin Mo's 3 melons and 2 dates. However, since she has arrived, it is natural that the situation cannot continue to develop. It is best to cut it clean and have no relationship. But the top priority now is to quickly find Lin Mo. He followed to the imperial capital to take care of the original owner. As he had no education, he could only move bricks on the construction site. Now, in the cold weather, she couldn't help but go there quickly. As for Su Yang, the series of tragedies that followed him were that the elder sister of the original owner did not do well. As long as she and Lin Mo were good, without the chaotic things that followed, with his intelligence, he could definitely live well. The 4-person dormitory is extremely small, with only clothes separated and shoes that are often worn casually piled up at the entrance. High heels, snow boots, sneakers. Xihe tugged for a while before finding the original owner's boots. Give me your phone. The paws moved away, and the dog curiously looked at her dressed up in outdoor attire and said, "What are you going for?" "Find Xiaoqing." Slanting its gaze, Xihe opened the door with a soft snort and let out the howling wind and snow as it poured in. Hiss, it's so cold. She shrank her neck and gathered her clothes tighter. It's around 4 o'clock now, the sky is gloomy, with red lanterns hanging from trees and pedestrians hurriedly walking in cotton jackets everywhere. Xihe ran to the bus stop at the school gate and waited for a while. A few minutes later, the bus arrived. She threw 2 coins into the coin box and sat down in the back row. The original owner of this road to Lin Mo's residence often goes there, but it's just for asking for money. Sometimes it's 500, sometimes it's 1,000, and every time they finish paying, they leave. In the eyes of the original owner, Lin Mo was an obedient and profitable tool person. He only remembered him when he asked for money, and he had a great time playing with the people in school. Because she has good taste in clothes and is generous in her actions, many classmates thought her family conditions were good, but in fact, Hehe. It's just that someone is carrying the weight for her and moving forward. She is not grateful for this, she despises Lin Mo for this, despises Lin Mo for that, does not allow him to come to school, and only says he is a fellow villager when meeting people. Although the two have a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, Lin Mo has not even held the hand of the original owner. Wow, the highest level of free prostitution. With a few clicks, Xihe searched in the original owner's mind but couldn't find the specific appearance of Lin Mo. In his memory, he seemed to have kept his head down, always wearing worn-out work clothes. The hand that handed the money to the original owner had thick knuckles and was covered in calluses. Despite being the same age as the original owner, he lived a life of 40 or 50 years old. Why sigh? After all, it will be your family's property in the future. If you want to dislike it, then earn money to raise it for him. The dog exclaimed. Xihe touched his pocket, $500. The person who left first. Deep and shallow, constantly thinking about the months and years, still loving him and never forgetting him. Emma, I really like this song, ah 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 ah. Blow it out. The sound of the wind blowing up the smoke, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 3. Carrying $500 in his pocket, Xihe got off the bus and headed straight to Lin Mo's residence. Passing by the supermarket, he remembered his frugal nature and went in to buy a thick blanket. Before leaving, I saw the gloves hanging in front of the cashier and casually put them in my pocket. King Yu of Zhou smiled at Bo Baosi and played with the potential of the feudal lords. Guzi nodded confidently at his feet. Rolling calf. Xihe, who carried the quilt, didn't want to pay attention to it. At around 5 o'clock, the sky was gradually getting dark. Xihe picked up his speed with a cotton quilt and stopped in front of an old residential building after more than 10 minutes. The aroma of the food came from afar, and Xihe took a sniff and took out the key to open the innermost storage room on the first floor. The creaking door opens. Tisk, why is this room even colder than outside? A cold wind blew out of the house, and the dog immediately took a step back in disgust. Xihe didn't speak, turned on the light, brought the quilt in, and closed the door. Looking down at the 10 square meter small room at a glance, there were only simple bed cabinets and 2 stools. The most eye-catching one was the papery window, with cold wind whistling in and snowflakes covering the ground. The whole room is chilly. Xihe walked over and pinched the neatly stacked cotton quilt on the bed. Sure enough, it was thin and hard. She remembered when she woke up, the original owner's quilt was soft and warm, sweating even while sleeping. I'm really willing. Xihe couldn't help but sigh. No, what is the original owner's family background? Since childhood, my father and mother remarried, and the siblings lived with my grandmother. Later, my grandmother disappeared, and I was about to face the dilemma of dropping out of school. It was Lin Mo who stepped forward and dropped out of high school to work and let her study. Over the years, Lin Mo has provided her with food, clothing, and drinks, as well as tuition fees. It can be said that without Lin Mo, there wouldn't be her current life. Where's Lin Mo? Why haven't he come back yet? The dog jumped onto the table. Xihe patted his head and said, "Oh, I forgot." Lin Mo seems to have said that due to the cold weather, he couldn't work on the construction site. He had to change his job. He's helping people wash cars now. I can't blame her either. After all, the original owner only remembered this kind of person when he took the money. How can he remember him on weekdays? Walk, find someone. Car dealership. Seeing off the guests, Zhang Gu, who was originally smiling, immediately suppressed his smile and sneaked into the lounge. Damn it, it was too cold for him. It can freeze a person to death. He rubbed his frozen hands and turned his head to see that Lin Mo's silly hat was still working hard to wash the car. His hands, which were pulled out of the cold water, were emitting a hint of heat, and several cuts on the back of his hands were oozing with blood. This second-rate guy, don't you want money or life? He muttered and knocked on the glass, gesturing for Lin Mo to come in. Xiao Mo, hurry up, stop working, come in and warm up. Lin Mo instinctively looked up and smiled. Brother Zhang, please rest first. I'll be fine soon. Then bury your head and continue washing the car. In the cold wind, he did not wear gloves, and his clothes were also very thin. His hands were cracked, and his face turned blue. From time to time, he held hands to ease the stiffness of his hands. But when washing the car, I am particularly careful and meticulous, not letting go of every corner. TSK, you really don't have to worry about money anymore. Zhang sat down on a stool and watched Lin Mo smoking and shaking his head, feeling that his efforts would eventually be in vain. Today is New Year's Day, and everyone has gone to celebrate the holiday. As he is alone here, he thinks it's not interesting to celebrate alone. It's better to work overtime to earn some money and send it to the mother-in-law and children at home. So when the boss asked who was willing to work overtime, he took the initiative to stay. But he didn't expect that Lin Mo, a young man, would choose to work overtime even on this great holiday, even though he usually works hard for Sanlang. Just for that triple overtime pay. Oh, is dating so exhausting now? Seeking collections, seeking recommendations. Nervous face. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study for. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study for. Cold, isn't it? When Lin Moqing walked in with a green face, Zhang couldn't help but mock. TSK, what do you think you're working so hard for? You've earned a lot of money, but what's the result? You're always eating vegetables and changing clothes and shoes back and forth, and I haven't seen you have a new one. He tugged at Lin Mo's thin cotton jacket with a disdainful expression on his face and said, "What kind of girlfriend are you? This is the despicable king of hell, isn't he? He came specifically to drink your blood and take your life." Brother Zhang. Lin Mo controlled his trembling body from the cold and frowned, retorting, "Your words are too much. Lin is very good. She studies hard, has many places to spend money, and is so busy." Busy. Zhang sneered and interrupted him directly, "So busy that you don't even have time to make a phone call or have a meal. Humph, let me see. You should save more money and leave some room for yourself. Don't end up empty-handed, even if you don't have money." Lin Mo frowned and wanted to open his mouth to refute. But when I remembered that every rebuttal was useless, I didn't want to say anything anymore. I opened the door and continued to wash the car. The cold wind outside was icy, and the water in the bucket had already frozen. He had no choice but to take out his hand and chisel it open, soaking a towel in water to wipe the car wall. The cold water was piercing to the bone, and Lin Mo couldn't help but take a deep breath. It took half a day to recover. Amo. Lin Mo instinctively looked up. The girl stood a few steps away dressed in red, with a small white face and snowflakes dancing behind her. It's even more beautiful than the celebrities on TV. Lin Mo shook his lips and looked at the girl across from him without blinking, almost thinking he had hallucinations. Until the girl spoke again, Amo. Lin. Lin Mo stood up hurriedly. The surprise overflowed in words. It's really you. How did you come? Subconsciously smoothing the hem of his clothes with both hands, he lowered his head and saw himself wearing work clothes, black and white stains left from work. His face turned red and he dared not look at Xihe's face. He remembered her saying not to dress like this and embarrass her. Suddenly, he remembered something. Lin, I'm sorry, I've been busy lately. I don't have any living expenses anymore. Here, this is this month's salary. Speaking, he took out a stack of money from his pocket and handed it to Xihe. The clean red ticket was particularly glaring on the rough black palm. Xihe was stunned. She looked at the hand that was oozing blood, opened her mouth, and suddenly felt her throat blocked. She had imagined that he would have a bad life, but she didn't expect the environment to be so bad, and even so, he didn't want to harm the original owner. On the contrary, I am worried that the original owner will get angry because he did not give the money in a timely manner. Lin Mo hurriedly explained when she didn't answer. Lin, listen to me. I really didn't mean to. I was planning to deliver it to you early tomorrow morning. Don't be angry, okay? He spoke incoherently and looked nervous, afraid that Xihe would leave in anger like before. Good. Thank you, Amo. Xihe blinked his eyes, suppressed his bitterness, and took it over. If she didn't want Lin Mo, she would probably feel that she was still angry and hadn't forgiven him. However, at this moment, Xihe decided to treat him better. Xiao Mo, is this your girlfriend? Zhang came out of the room with his neck down, curiously looking at the girl who suddenly appeared. Dressed in red, with fair and beautiful skin, delicate and tender. Zhang Gu. Can this be kept? It's not even a person from the same world. It was a pity for Zhang Gu to pay for Lin Mo's heavy head in his heart, as if seeing the green light shining on his head after seeing him. Ah, yes, brother Zhang, this is my girlfriend, Lin. Lin Mo reacted and quickly introduced them to each other. Xihe nodded to Zhang and went to pull Lin Mo's sleeve. Amo, haven't you finished work yet? I'm here to celebrate New Year's Day with you. Lin Mo was stunned and said, well. Because he didn't expect Su Lin to come and find him, he chose to work overtime today. Now. He looked at Xihe in embarrassment. I'm sorry, Lin. Today. It's off work. Zhang quickly interrupted him and said, we're off work now. Xiao Mo, hurry up and change into clothes and go back. On New Year's Day, go have a good meal. Speaking, he blinked at Lin Mo while Xihe was not paying attention. Although he is not optimistic, everyone has arrived. If he can help, please do him a favor. Lin Mo was startled. He had intended to say that he would work overtime today, but when he heard the words behind him, he immediately closed his mouth and looked carefully at Xihe, reluctant to refuse. Just now Lin said that she's here to celebrate New Year's Day with herself. Goodbye, brother Zhang. Xihe smiled at Zhang Gu and pushed Lin Mo, saying, Amo, go change your clothes quickly. Hey, good. Lin Mo's face turned red and he dared not look at Zhang Ji's teasing eyes. He hurriedly ran over to change clothes. What is that? Please collect it. Hehehehehe. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 5 until leaving the car dealership and walking under the snowflake dancing streetlights. Lin Mo still couldn't believe that Su Lin, who had always been fair to him, came to him and said she wanted to celebrate New Year's Day with him. Also, I held his hand. The young man blushed, feeling that his head was starting to smoke. Suddenly, there was noise coming from all around. He looked around and realized something was wrong. Lin, we're going in the wrong place. The rental house is not in this direction. There are many people coming and going under the front row of small sheds, such as barbecue, fried rice, tomatoes on sticks wrapped in sandpaper. The air is filled with mouth-watering food fragrance, and everyone's face is filled with happy smiles. Lin Mo was momentarily stunned. Upon seeing this, Xihe knew that since following Su Lin to the imperial capital for 3 years, Lin Mo had been working hard to earn money every day and had never been to such a place before. Her heart couldn't help but soften, and she said gently, "Do you want to eat? Let's come back later. Now go buy clothes first." As he spoke, he walked into the elevator of the nearby mall and pressed down on the 3rd floor. "Yes, it's time to buy clothes, Lin. Take a look at what you like, let's buy it." Lin Morton felt extremely frustrated and cursed himself for being irresponsible, forgetting to buy clothes for Lin. Xihe smiled silently and waited for the elevator to stop at the 3rd floor shopping mall before pulling Lin Mo straight to the men's clothing area. "Miss, are you looking for a jacket or an inner outfit? Your boyfriend is tall and has long legs, so everything he wears is suitable." The salesperson saw the two of them and his eyes lit up. He ran over and enthusiastically introduced the clothes in the store. Although she was also curious about why the young lady was dressed so well, her boyfriend was wearing a tattered and old cotton jacket that didn't keep warm at first glance. "But the visitor is a guest." "No, I'm not. Let's take a look at the coat first." Lin Mo's refusal was interrupted by Xihe before he could finish speaking. She stepped forward and took off a black down jacket hanging on the shelf, saying, "Go and try it on." Lin Mo hurriedly waved his hand and said, Lin, I don't want it. My clothes can still be worn." Don't be angry, I'll go right away." Seeing Xihe's face sink, he became anxious and quickly took the clothes and ran to the fitting room. Lin finally smiled at him, and he absolutely couldn't make her angry. He bought the clothes first and then found a chance to return them. "But the new clothes are so warm." Lin Mo took off his cotton jacket and carefully put on his down jacket. Suddenly, his whole body was wrapped in soft duck down, and warmth swept over him. He couldn't help but sigh comfortably. "It's so warm." Dong dong. The sudden knocking on the door startled Lin Mo, who quickly zippered up and said, "Oh, that's good." He then lifted the curtain. Lin. Unexpectedly, Xihe was right at the door. Lin Mo pulled his sleeve and nervously said, What's going on?" "Not bad, you can try this sweater and these pants again." Looking up and down, Xihe nodded and handed over the clothes in his hand. "Oh, good." Lin Mo took the clothes and returned to the fitting room, quickly changing them. He was wearing 4 pieces of clothing all over his body, and it was easy to take them off at this time. After a while, the curtain was lifted again. The young man had broad shoulders and narrow waist, a tall figure, dressed in a gray high-necked sweater paired with matching woolen pants and a black cotton coat, completely different from the image he had just appeared in the refugee camp. At this moment, Yubei lifted his cheeks, his sharp and angular face completely exposed to the light. His soared eyebrows, straight nose bridge, thin and thick lips, especially his eyes, were as clear as a stream of water. Even though his skin was a bit dark and he had chilblains on his cheeks, it did not diminish his handsome appearance at all. "Okay, so handsome." The salesperson who had been following her was stunned, and couldn't help but look at Xihe with admiration. The little sister has a keen eye for pearls. "It looks good." Xihe also smiled. When she first saw Lin Mo sitting at the door in dirty work clothes, her eyes focused on the outside, her ankles and wrists exposed to the cold air, she decided to buy a set of clothes for her man first. Really, really. Lin Mo's face turned red from praise, and his moist eyes looked around, but he didn't dare to look at Xihe. Well, really. Xihe stepped forward and zippered him up, then turned to the salesperson and said, I need all the clothes, and I'll have another pair of pants and sweaters. Hey, alright. I'll also pack the clothes inside for you. The salesperson was very enthusiastic. Amo, shy face. Darling, since you can give me everything, can you give me some collection recommendations? I want to bookmark recommendations. Xihe squinted. Guzzi, did you hear me? The dog looked up in confusion and said, woo woof woof woof. Luzzi, tearful eyes biting on a handkerchief. The Lewin family can't do it. How about you ask my dear reader friend? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 7. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 7. In Lin Mo's troubled state, after finishing a meal, Xihe took Lin Mo to the mall while he still had money in his pocket and bought him some daily necessities. Until there was only over $100 left in her pocket, she reluctantly stopped. Let's go back. There are still snowflakes floating in the sky, and there is a growing trend. There are hardly any pedestrians on the street. Xihe shrank his neck and immediately took out his phone to book a car. It's too cold, she shouldn't let herself be wronged. But it's also difficult to take a taxi this day, it will take about 20 minutes recently. Xihe was so cold that he had no choice but to ignore Lin Mo's stiffness and jump in and crawl into his arms. The scorching body temperature kept coming in, dispelling the chill from his body. Xihe couldn't help but take a soft breath, feeling like he had come to life. Lin Mo in a daze. More than 20 minutes later, the car arrived, and the driver was in a hurry. As soon as he stopped, he called Xihe and urged them to hurry up. As soon as they got on the car, the door locked and the car rushed out like a sword off the string. Splashing snowflakes on the ground. Master, have you taken the order? If you don't, would you mind taking me to Imperial University again? After getting off the car, Xihe quickly spoke up before the driver turned around. It's difficult to take a taxi on this day. If the driver could deliver it, there wouldn't be so much trouble. Die to university. Sure. The driver nodded, afraid that she would be slow, and hurriedly urged, then hurry up. Okay, then you can wait for me for a few minutes. The rental house is still the same as before, with more snow on the ground, and the wind whistling in like an ice cellar. Xihe glanced at it and quickly took out the newly purchased heating sun from his bag to plug it in. She instructed, it's too cold today. You can soak your feet later and go to bed, and the little sun will be on all the time, okay? Oh, and there's also a blanket. I bought a new bed, and you can cover it tonight. Okay, Lin Mo nodded. As soon as he entered, he saw a new blanket neatly placed on the bed, and a surge of enthusiasm surged in his heart. Lin, by the way, don't take a shower tonight. If you can't stand it, just wipe it with hot water. When I rent a new house next week, you can do it every day if you want. The rental house doesn't have hot water, only cold water. It's okay in summer, but cold water won't work in winter, and you'll definitely get sick. But because the original owner had always despised Lin Mo for being clean and felt that his work on the construction site was dirty, and a foul smell always lingered on his body. So every time we meet, we ask him to clean himself thoroughly. Lin Mo had no choice but to take a shower in cold water every time. As you can imagine, I have to go to work with a cold and fever every time. He has been safe and sound until now, he is truly lucky. Once again, he cursed in his heart at the original owner's incompetence, and Xihe quickly stopped this suicidal behavior. From now on, Lin Mo's body will be hers, she can't let anything happen to him. Besides, where does it smell? Lin Mo has always loved cleanliness. It is clear that the original owner was unhappy and deliberately picking faults. Did you hear what I said? Realizing that he had said so much, Lin Mo didn't respond, and Xihe couldn't help but look over in surprise. You said, rent a house. Lin Mo's lips straightened and his expression became indistinguishable. Renting a new house. Why? Is her sudden change today related to this? Well, rent another one near the school, Xihe casually said. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 8. After a pause, he realized that his expression was not right, and Xihe immediately laughed. She clapped her hands and stood up, walking towards the young man. Her gaze scanned his face, causing him to look flustered and unable to hold his gaze. I leaned in his ear and whispered, Don't you want to live with me? Bang, roaring in his mind, Lin Morton felt the golden light flickering in front of him, his mind blank. 1. Live together. What are you saying? Lin Mo spoke with difficulty. He stared closely at Xihe's face, not letting go of any change. Is it him who thinks so? I said, we should live together now. The words come to my ears, the sentences are clear, and the heaviness hits my heart. This time Lin Mo was certain that he didn't hear anything wrong, but... Why? He looked at the smiling girl in confusion and directly asked his doubts. What do you think? Xihe bullied his body and climbed up, his white jade-like fingertips gently covering the young man's lips, with ripples of light flowing in his eyes. The girl transformed into a heart-wrenching sea monster. The whole body exudes the ultimate temptation. Me. As simple as Lin Mo, how have you ever seen such methods? I could only stare blankly and allow the sea monster to jump its fingertips, wandering freely along his handsome outline. A sneer came from somewhere, and Lin Mo was startled. Subconsciously, he pushed Xihe out, spinning around like a headless fly in the room. He just happened to. Silently, Xihe glared at the dog on the table, who was holding his mouth and laughing mischievously. He coughed lightly and said, Well, when I rent the house, come to the school and help me move things. Seeing Lin Mo still standing with his back to himself, Xihe couldn't help but wonder if he was really scared. I couldn't help but chat up. So what, that's it for today. You should rest quickly, I'll go back. Turning around and walking towards the door. Seeing this, the dog jumped up and rushed to the foot of Xihe, preparing to return. Wait. Lin Mo urgently turned around. Xihe leaned over and looked at him in confusion. The young man lowered his eyes and pinched the corner of his clothes, saying, I'll give you a gift. Dog. Oh. Xihe. Oh. Looking at the person up and down, Xihe nodded happily and said, Okay. His eyebrows and eyes curved. Unexpectedly, there were still 2 people getting on the car. Driver uncle. Shouldn't we have to wait until school and send another one back? What is the picture? Of course it's a picture, I'm happy. The car drove smoothly on the road and stopped at the entrance of the Imperial University half an hour later. Xihe got off the car and said, Master, could you please take my boyfriend back? Okay. The driver uncle was already prepared and agreed in one fell swoop. Xihe nodded and looked at Lin Mo, who was following closely. He pursed his lower lip tightly, his gaze fixed on stubbornness. I watched you walk in. Hiss. Xihe couldn't help but extend his hand and burn his head. It really hurts. She lightly tapped his forehead and said, Give me a message when you get home, and... Seeing his puzzled eyes, she couldn't help but laugh and said, "Come and help me move things next week." Lin Mo nodded. After finishing the order, she was afraid that she might think her reaction was wrong, so she quickly spoke up, "If you call me, I'll come. The meaning is, if you don't let me come, I will definitely not make any claims to come over." "Okay, then I'll go." Xihe waved to Lin Mo and turned to run towards the school gate. "Hey, he's still standing there watching you." Entering the school gate, in a place that others couldn't see, the dog's feet soared into the air and followed Xihe, playing with its 4 hooves. A series of plum blossom scorches appeared on the smooth snow, and if someone saw them, they would think that there was a supernatural phenomenon. "I know." The female voice was faint. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 9. It's neither early nor late, it's exactly 11 o'clock. Aunt Su Guan is ready to rest, but when she was awakened by Xihe, her face looked very ugly. When she opened the door, she seemed to have a grudge against Locke. "Xihe, she's cursing you, go and hit her," the dog urged. "No, she's scolding you." It was dark in the hallway, and Xihe stepped down hard, causing the light to suddenly light up. "She said you're too ugly to be mischievous," the dog pounced. "Hehe. Are you taking the opportunity to scold me?" She said she was ugly despite her fair skin, beautiful appearance, and long legs. How blind is this? She looked coldly across and said, "Do you want to fight?" Dogs flew up in an instant. "Come on, I'm afraid of you." Ground beetle. Dong dong dong, Xihe quickly ran up to the 5th floor and said, "I don't argue with the local dog." At first glance, she didn't let it speak too hard today. Looking for a cigarette, she didn't fall for it. Dog. Xihe. Xihe didn't care about this dog thing. As soon as the door opened, he quickly tore his clothes and rushed to the bathroom. The water and electricity are only supplied until 11:30. If she slows down a bit, there will be no hot water in a while. Sure enough, before she had a chance to blow dry her hair, the dormitory had a power outage. Upon seeing this, the dog immediately smiled and said, "Please, I'll blow dry for you." "Oh, please." Xihe's indifferent face. Dog. There is no pleasure of being prayed for. I won't brag anymore, go to sleep. Ha. Glancing at the bulging lump on the bed, Xihe walked to his desk and opened the original owner's computer. She only had 200 yuan in her pocket, which made her very insecure. She wants to make money right away. As soon as the computer was turned on, various messages kept ringing, all from, "I am a lone wolf." TSK, Xihe opens the software. Voice calls, video messages, and dozens of layers of text were initially affectionate, but later on they became furious. Finally, he spoke harshly, "Su Lin, giving face is shameless, isn't it? Dare to play with me? Okay, you wait for me." Confirmed, Li Tai. What are you going to do? Give it a beating. It's cool, Li Pa. Or do you want a box of ecstasy and send it to the police station? The dog ran over reluctantly. I don't talk to untrustworthy dogs. Crossed the window casually, Xihe opened the web page and quickly typed on the keyboard with his fingers. Soon, a fully English interface popped up. You have no faith in your words. The dog couldn't help but roar. As the light hit her face, she quickly filtered out the messages and flipped down the page. I didn't even notice myself. The dog endured for a while before suddenly charging forward and clawing at Xihe's head. Xihe's eyebrows and eyes have no waves. A strong wind swept over the girl's shoulders, and her wet hair flowed smoothly and dry. Surprisingly, it was done. Xihe turned his head and said, "Another can of pure milk." After a pause, he said, "It's hot." Don't take any further action, the dog growled sharply. Be good. With a casual appeasement, Xihe turned his head and continued to quickly browse web messages. How to raise funds in a short period of time in modern society. She is already very proficient in this business. When she received the message she wanted on the web page, she crossed the page again and quickly entered a string of website addresses in the network address column. A few minutes later, the computer went black as if it had crashed. The Xihe eyebrow peak remained motionless and continued to wait. Sure enough, 5 or 6 minutes later, a bloody skull slowly jumped out of the computer. Skull grinned wide and silently uttered a few words. Welcome to the King's Canyon. Xihe. It's so trendy. If she doesn't know it's a dark web address. Then the computer seemed to be disconnected, flickering and stuttering. A few seconds later, it began to pop up program questions one by one. After answering one, Xihe immediately jumped to the next, and the small window in the upper left corner was still counting the time. Waiting until later, the speed became faster and faster, almost a problem per second. Even though Xihe's divine soul was powerful, it took him 12 points of attention to answer all the questions at the last moment. Finally starting to make money. After answering all the questions, he arrived at a place similar to a task hall, with various tasks marked on it. Xihe randomly selected one and pressed yes. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation, can the little cutie in here have a bubble? Let me know that I am not fighting alone. Nervous face. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Boyfriend brings bricks for me to study 10. This is a task of fixing vulnerabilities. The formula is simple, but the program is quite complex, so most big shots disdain it, while small ones can't handle it. They have been hanging on it for a week, and the price has increased from the initial 5,000 to the current 30,000. 30,000 yuan, which is quite a lot for Xihe, who is currently only in poverty. He immediately took it without hesitation. It is estimated that the situation is quite urgent. As soon as she picked it up, someone immediately came over to negotiate and begged Xihe to make sure it was done before 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, fearing that Xihe would not be willing, and even specifically said that an additional 5,000 yuan could be added. Don't worry. Drop the 2 characters and Xihe immediately enters the operation page. She had a serious expression, her eyes fixed on the screen, and her hands clattered on the keyboard, leaving behind images. The data on the computer quickly passed by in rows. The dog pouted and silently placed the hot milk on the table, then turned around and crawled into the blanket. I'll deal with you when you're done. It was already midnight when Xihe regained consciousness. She picked up her phone and saw a message from Lin Mo on it. I'm home now. It's around 12 o'clock, and there's also her reply, good night. Xihe was speechless for a moment. It must have been sent by Guzi on her behalf. Charging up the computer to ensure that the program could run properly, Xihe drank the milk in one gulp and turned around to climb onto the bed. Get out of here, don't get on my bed. Perhaps he hadn't woken up yet, when the dog muttered and crawled to the other end. Xihe's foot reached out and landed on a pile of plush material. She relaxed her eyebrows and eyes, and quickly fell asleep. The snow outside was getting heavier and heavier, and everywhere was a vast expanse of white, creating a peaceful atmosphere. On the first day of the new year, everyone slept well. The next day, Xihe was awakened and touched her phone. It was only 9 o'clock. Open the door. Su Lin, open the door for me. The sound of smashing the door alarmed the nearby dormitory, and everyone rushed out to watch the excitement. The more people there are, the more ugly Tong Xiu's face becomes when she smashes the door. This Su Lin. It's really getting too much. Su Lin, you open the door for me, do you hear me? Bang. The door suddenly opened, and Tong Xiu's body shook, so she didn't throw herself over. She was angry and said, what are you doing? Sorry, I didn't hear you. He buttoned his pajamas tightly and spoke apologetically. This light and ethereal sentence instantly exploded Tong Xihe. I shouted for half a day at the door, and still slapped hard for so long. You said you didn't hear me. She looked at her incredulously, feeling that this person was so shameless that he could tell such a lie. Who are you fooling? I really didn't hear you. Xihe was a bit annoyed. She went to bed at 4 o'clock, and now it's only 5 hours. It's just when she's extremely tired. Come in first. It's so cold outside and there are so many good movies to watch. She doesn't want to be a monkey. Tong Xihe also saw those gazes. She held back and forcefully pushed Xihe open her shoulder, pushing the suitcase in. Xihe. This dog's temper, no wonder the original owner can't play with her. Although the original owner had a bad temper, she was good at pretending and looked like a gentle and kind-hearted big sister in school. She has always had a good relationship with classmates. Especially in the same dormitory, like her best friend in the other two places, it was just Tong Xihe, a wealthy young lady. I don't know if Huyen really saw the hypocrisy of the original owner, and he always used a sincere tone towards her, occasionally making a sarcastic remark. Seeing the original owner accept the branded bag gift from Li Tai, and even openly stating that the original owner worships money hypocritically, after being with Li Tai later on, he even exclaimed, "The fox's tail is exposed." The relationship with the original owner is like water and fire. Both of them wished they could tear each other apart. Thank you, Xiaoqinai, for your recommended ticket collection. I will work hard. Also, I only found out for the first time that the revision would also delete reader comments. Starry Moon, I'm sorry for you. Crying, end of this chapter.